I'm a male and just found out my girlfriend is apparently transfem. IDK what to do. I'm probably gonna get a bit of hate for this, but IDK what to do. Our relationship is fairly new, it's long distance and not exactly looked lightly upon due to her native country. But that's aside the point. I love her dearly, but as stated I just found out she's transfem. I found out through her TikTok account as she never told me, she doesn't seem to be too open about it. I addressed her and she changed the subject after some hesitation. IDK if I'm comfortable with it, but I love her dearly. I know she's pansexual and poly. She knows I'm not comfortable with the whole dating multiple people. I don't want to be uncomfortable with anything else. I have plenty of trans friends and I don't have a problem with them. I think my uncomfortableness comes from the fact she didn't tell me, but, at the same time, I kinda understand why. I just don't know what to do or how to react to this. Trans here. She shoulda told you, and also if you aren't comfy with dating a poly person, why move forward? Sounds like you could de-escalate to a friendship and see what happens. If you love her and want her to stay in her life, be honest about your expectations and wishes with her. If you don't see yourself fully immersed in a loving, sexual relationship where you won't be her main focus, be honest with yourself and her about that. I know she's pansexual and poly. She knows I'm not comfortable with the whole dating multiple people. I don't want to be uncomfortable with anything else. Ignoring everything else, this alone make you incompatible. When looking for a partner you need to find one that shares your values, else someone is going to end up being unhappy. Why would you get hate for this? I think that's a pretty big thing to conceal from someone, and you'd be well within your rights to dump her for that alone. That said, I think the bigger issue is actually that she's poly and you're not. That's a huge incompatibility, and one that will likely only worsen with time. The two of you are not compatible. You just need to call it off. It sounds like you're not compatible. Recommend cutting her off and just going on with life. There are 4 billion females on the planet. I bet many of them are more compatible. You call it off. She's poly, you're not. You're attracted to biological females, she's transfem. You two aren't compatible, and that's okay so long as you still treat her with respect. You keep saying you're worried about hurting her future and love life. She doesn't have that same concern over you. She's poly and agreed to a relationship with you, a mono person. That's not something you learn to be comfortable with. You'd be nuking your own future and future love prospects for someone you aren't compatible with and can't meet your needs. Don't set yourself on fire keeping someone else warm. You need to have an honest conversation with her about why she didn't feel comfortable telling you this. Was she scared of your reaction and feared you may become abusive, cruel, or physically aggressive if she told you? Does she have past trauma that have put her in unsafe conditions to where she wouldn't tell you? If you really love her and you really want this to work, you need to have an open, honest conversation. Personally, I would even have this conversation with a therapist to mediate, so that both of you feel like you're in a safe space. Don't force yourself to feel a certain way just because society is manipulating the way you think you need to feel. Just be true to yourself and realize that what they did was wrong. Keeping that info from you is disgusting and emotionally manipulative. Please protect yourself and get out. I am sorry this happened to you. You're uncomfortable and there's no reason to feel any other way, feeling guilty about your true feelings. They're valid. My boyfriend of 2.5 years has been having an emotional affair. My 23 female boyfriend, 25 male, admitted to me that he has developed feelings for one of my friends, 23 female. They have been working together at the same company for about 2 months and apparently that's where it started. Yesterday after work he came home, opened a beer and sat next to me on our couch. When I asked how his day was, he said that we needed to talk about something important. I asked what is it and he told me that he didn't feel like he was good enough for me. After some prodding he admitted that he had feelings for the other person and wanted to tell me because he didn't want me to catch him cheating, and that he wasn't sure he could control himself. I asked how far it had gone and he said that he hasn't acted on his feelings at all. I later that night found out via a mutual friend that they had been moving their desks closer together and passing little notes while at work, and that he had also told her that he doesn't think that I want to get married and have children. I do. He's just never asked before. So he doesn't think he has a future with me, but she is always going on about how badly she wants kids. I slept at another friend's house as I couldn't stomach sleeping in our bed alone. This morning he called me to say that he has made a mistake and doesn't want to break up with me. I am so conflicted. Sorry about the novel. What do you, people of Reddit, think about emotional affairs? Wasn't sure he could control himself, ditch him. That's awful. He may very well have told her that he had ended with you and she turned him down though, and that's why it was a mistake? Also drop that friend because she is awful for doing that behind your back. He doesn't think that I want to get married and have children, I do, he's just never asked before. Really? After 2.5 years? I think you're better off hitting restart. Cheating is a decision and not a mistake, even if it's just emotional cheating. If my partner would do this, I'd break up so he can be with the other person. I wonder if she turned him down so he's begging for you back? Either way, stand your ground and call it over. I think it would best for you to get a fresh start. You guys have been together for 2.5 years, and if he doesn't want to get married, that's an issue if you do. Okay, but like he is still going to see her. Whoa. F him. He cheated on you and it didn't take much to do so. Moving desks together like they are teenagers? And your friend of all people. So ditch him, ditch her, don't look back. It will hurt so badly, but after a while it will feel so much better and you will be with someone you can trust. Someone who talks about marrying you to your friends, and doesn't fantasize about marrying your friend. I'm really sorry you are experiencing this, but please make the right decision. Also, what is up with these people you consider friends? Someone watched your boyfriend pass love notes to your friend and didn't think to mention it or at least scold them for it. I can understand why you are conflicted, but he seemed pretty honest about his feelings and I would believe what he said. Sure, he may now regret it, but those were his real feelings that he expressed. This relationship could drag out for longer, but why? Just so that you are both miserable? The writing is on the wall. My 39F daughter, 16F, was sawed and doesn't want me to tell my husband, her dad, 41M. Trigger warning for Saw. Censoring things because it doesn't seem to want to post. I'm going to try to keep this brief. Last night my daughter asked to talk to me privately, where she told me on Friday she went to a party with her friends, got a bit too drunk, and some boy she had a crush on took her to a room and RAPED her. She assured me she said no many times, but either way, whether she said no or not, it was RAPE. She said since she liked him, she'd been watching him, and he only had 1 or 2 small drinks, while she had way too much and was a lightweight in general and was nearing blackout drunk. I asked her what she wants to do about it, whether she wants to pursue legal action, switch schools, etc. It's a classic case of the RAPIST being a popular athlete at school and she knows little to nothing will get done. She wants to be homeschooled, but she also doesn't want her dad, my husband, to know. I have experience with SAW which she knows, so she knows I will handle it how she wants and I trust her to make her own decisions regarding her own trauma. But her father is overprotective and genuinely just wants the best for our daughter. However, she feels like if he knows, he'll go straight up to the RAPIST and kill him. I don't doubt that either. My problem is, I don't know how to hide something like this from my husband. What my daughter went through keeps playing over in my mind over and over again and I feel like I'm going to burst. I have a therapist and so does she. My next meeting's Friday and hers is tomorrow, so I know I can always talk to my therapist, but I tell my husband everything. We've always had the kind of relationship where we literally just tell each other almost everything. If I struggle to keep in simple things like when I burn my food, I don't know how to keep in our daughter being sawed. I respect my daughter's wishes completely and I don't want to betray her trust, but I'm just not sure how to keep such a huge thing in. If you're in the States, you can call Rain for resources and advice. She needs support now, there will be time for justice and courage. Something tells me this might be a good time to listen to her when she says no. All the comments on how reporting is often worse than not reporting is really depressing. SAW is a serious loss of control. Now she seeks some small level of control over this. Give her control over that. It's okay to discuss it with her. See if she might change her mind, but respect her decision. Your daughter has told you something very private and has asked you to keep this between the two of you. I get that it's hard, but telling your husband is only going to make her never trust you again. Talk to your therapist about it. I am begging you to respect your daughter's wishes about not telling her dad. I was raped 3 years ago by an ex-boyfriend and only recently told my mom. I begged her, with tears running down my face, not to tell my dad. I'm ashamed. I feel guilty. And I know that his knowledge of what happened to me would kill him. It would hurt him very deeply to know what happened to me and I can't live with that, even almost 4 years later. My mom has respected my wishes, to my knowledge, which I'm grateful for. I'm just not in a spot where I can have that conversation with my dad right now. Honor your daughter's wishes. However, if at some point, she decides to disclose this to your husband and he finds out you knew and didn't tell him, you will need to be prepared for any fallout. But, your daughter must come first in this situation. The difference here is that this isn't yours to tell. Treat it like you would a secret told to you by a friend. This is your daughter trusting you during one of her most vulnerable and hurt moments, and she doesn't trust her dad not to take what little control she has away from her. See if you can schedule an emergency therapist appointment for the two of you to talk this through and come up with a plan, which hopefully includes telling dad but also helps you come to peace with accepting that she may never want to. If she agrees to tell dad, I recommend doing so during family therapy so the therapist can help guide the process and processing. My boyfriend was my first and thinks he's my third. We've been dating for over a year. Do I tell him I was lying? I was just really embarrassed to be a virgin in our friend group and everyone else wasn't, so I had told everyone I wasn't and had to stick to it, and then when I started dating my boyfriend I didn't want to tell him I had lied to all our friends and him, so I've been lying about it since we started dating. It would be best to come clean if it is bothering you. I would think that he would understand the reason behind it. Honesty is key in any relationship. I found out that the hard way. So you have to be honest your man before the lie goes longer. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. Tell him, but expect him to be pissed since you lied and hid this information about you for years. This is honestly more common than you think, so just tell him exactly what you typed and it should be fine. He might ask why you didn't tell him before, but he won't be upset at all. Just tell him exactly what you just typed. If he really loves you, he'll understand. Just be honest. I was in the other shoe where I dated someone who said she was a virgin, but ended up telling me she wasn't a year later. I honestly didn't care if she was a virgin or not, and I would definitely prefer to date someone with experience, but what I did care was that she would lie about something like that and maintain it for a year. If I were your boyfriend, I don't think that info would impact my view of you. Especially if it's a healthy long-term relationship. It's understandable why people pretend to be experienced when they're virgins because society has a stigma around it. Much more forgivable than pretending to be a virgin if you aren't. In my opinion.